Hi guys, Icecracks here. Today we're sort of working on a Ford Mustang GT. I think I worked on the Lamborghini Murcielago. I've sort of been liking, since I watched the video Battle Drift. I sort of wanted to make both the Mustang GT that Vaughn Gitten Jr. has, and the Lamborghini Murcielago drift car that Daigo Saito wanted. So I've sort of been working on the Mustang GT as sort of a little side project for a little while, sort of tweaking it, adjusting it, things like that. It's sort of a little offspring of the Mustang GT500, which was wrecked. Well, the real one was wrecked in last year when Vaughn Gitten Jr. crashed in Texas. But so he's been using the Mustang GT 2015 model as his drift car. But I sort of wanted to make it as after watching after Battle Drift, I wanted to make both cars, the GT and the Lamborghini. Obviously, the Lamborghini, I released it earlier this week, how to set up the car, and sort of drifting in public lobby, which was the day before yesterday, actually. So, yeah, we're going to set up this Mustang, so sort of explode it, and I will be doing a lot of upgrades to it, because this default engine has no power whatsoever. So we're going to start building it now, actually. So first of all, we're going to do a conversion to the aspiration, as personally, I didn't really find natural aspirated that powerful enough, even though the real car is a 5-liter naturally aspirated engine. I went, let's just stick on a supercharger. That's basically what I did when I thought of the design. Aerodynamics, nothing. Tires, I always run street tires, and for the tire width, I ran stock tires, actually. I ran stock tires, stock width, because I sort of found the wider the tires, they didn't exactly work too well. So, yeah, because they built too much grip, and the car would just sort of not like it that much. For rims, I think, for rims I went HRE, because Vaughn Gitten Jr. always uses, even though they're RTR rims, they're always HRE designed rims. So I went with the Flow FF01 rim, which is which I always put on for any of Vaughn Gitten Jr. Mustangs, RTR Mustangs, because they always have the similar sort of 6-spoke star style rim. So So drivetrain, you always for just racing everything, because you want to have the nice shifting speeds. Racing gearbox, so you can play around the gears, because I did play around a lot with the gears. Just fiddled around with the gears. Driveline, carbon fiber racing, and of course you can't go without a differential. You need a racing differential to tweak the whole adjustability and how the tires spin. Brakes, high quality brakes, because racing brakes, because you can adjust the brake pressure and the brake bias. Springs, so I can adjust everything with the springs, dampening, rebound stiffness, yada yada. Anti-roll bars racing, and rear anti-roll bars racing, because I want to adjust all of that. Roll cage, this is obviously optional, but I'm sticking on anyway, because I like a stiffer car. And weight reduction, bro, because it's like, you need to make the car lighter, because just so it slides a lot better. For engine upgrades, I went pretty much everything racing except the supercharger, the intercooler, and the intercooler, because the intercooler wasn't really necessary, and the supercharger went on racing, which I put on sport instead. If I put on racing, it's a bit too much power. If I put a street one, then it just doesn't have enough power. So I put the sport supercharger on. Oil systems, obviously, I mentioned before, racing. And pretty much everything else is racing, because you just need that power to get the car to slide. If not, it sort of just flops on its side and sort of falls flat. And generally, most of the Mustangs tend to since they are heavy cars and very long cars, they tend to not hold their drift very well over long distance, like straights and stuff, or really wide corners. Sort of like how Indianapolis is in the first corner. It's very, very wide, and it sort of just carries you around. So you need a bit of power to keep the car sliding all the way around the corner. And obviously racing intake. So, there's all the engine upgrades. So we should probably tune the car now, because that's sort of the more important part, because tuning it is very important, because if you don't tune it, then how's it going to work? If it wants to load, that is. So, alright, so the tire pressure, I always run it at 1.3 bar, because barometric air pressure. I don't even know what bar stands for. I know in PSI is pounds per square inch, but I don't even know what bar stands for. We'd probably check that, but usually when you're running a drift car, you want a low tire pressure, because so they can get more grip in the tires without having too much grip. The gearing setup, I've went with 3.10. I sort of fiddled around with the gears and sort of played around until they really worked. And I generally found this gear ratio setup to work really nicely. There you go. So 3.10 is 2.75, 2.01, 1.49, 1.17, 0.94, and 0.75 for all the gears. And I don't know, it sort of works around the 200 km/h range to hold third gear. For the alignment, I went with 2 degrees on both, -2 degrees on both front and rear, because I don't know, I fiddled around. 1.5 wasn't exactly enough camber, and anything else is really just like a bit too much beyond 2 degrees. Toe, get a bit more turn and response with it, so 3 and 0.5, so I can get the car to really really rotate around. And caster 5.7 is usually a sweet number I run. The anti-roll bars I usually obviously run usually 11 point something, because you don't want you want the car to roll a little bit. You want some body roll in the car, but you don't want too much body roll. So you usually run a pretty soft front anti-roll bar, because I can get the front end to slide out, to kick around, and to rotate. And the rear one, usually around the 15 mark, or 15.81 in this case, because you want a stiffer rear suspension, so it holds the drift and doesn't rotate or roll as much during the drift, because the car is going sideways at a very high speed, usually about 100 k's an hour. The rear suspension, I'm running 11 point something, 11.5 and it's 111 point something, usually around there. Usually that's a sweet number. It's not too soft, not too stiff. Depends really what your car is. If the car is a racing or sports car, like the Lambo, you have to run stiffer springs. If it's something like a Mustang, anything that's really easy to drift, just run softer setup. Dampening, 4.1, you want to be able to hit those bumps without having to lose control of the car too much. You want the rebound and the bump stiffness to be 4.1 around there, because when you have them too stiff, you're gonna hit the curb and you're gonna spin out, which is a big issue which I've noticed with the Lambo. If you hit the curb a bit too much, it tends to want to spin out, which is not too nice. The brake bias is 40 and 150. Brake pressure, it's a good sweet number to lock up the brakes. Not too stiff, you can release it really quickly and get the wheels to spin again. And you want the rear tires to lock up, hence the 40% brake bias at the back. And 80% front for acceleration of the differential, and 60% of the rear, because you want when you decelerate, you want the car to. Usually you're initiating a drift, so you want to decelerate with a bit of wheel lock. But when you're accelerating, you're getting on the gas with the drift, so you want the tires to lock up. You don't want 100%, because then you can't steer the car while drifting, which is sort of a big issue. Anyway, so there's the tune setup. So I'm going to apply it now, and I'm going to go for a test drive around. I'd probably say Indianapolis, because I love Indianapolis for any Mustangs or any muscle cars that are run as a drift car. Alright, so we're at Indianapolis. I forgot to put the vinyls on, but the vinyl design is by BXRDY. I think it was the same design that the guy that used the Lamborghini design. I'll probably put it on after, but yeah, and show what the car is designed like. But yeah, usually you kick it out pretty fast. You get this car to go pretty fast down the street of Indianapolis, but once you enter the corner, you want to lock up real hard to get the car to slide into the corner and go around, even though I hit the tie wall and lost all my points, which sort of sucks, unfortunately. And then, yeah, I love Indianapolis because it's so, I don't know, it's just a nice track for Mustangs and nothing else. I see a lot of people run S15s and I've seen people run GMC Cyclones around here, and it's sort of really weird. And well, it's an American, a classic American track, so why not use a classic American car, like a Mustang, around the track? That's probably my main reason why I use the Mustang around Indianapolis, mainly because it's a classic American track, especially with the Indy 500 and things like that. But usually, oh, I'm getting a bit wide. Nope. Yeah, usually I'm running much higher point levels. Like I'm usually getting about 24,000. I think I was doing some practice runs earlier with this setup. Thanks Xbox for recording that. But usually I run 24,000 in the first section. I sort of screwed up the first section by hitting the tire wall a little bit. But yeah, usually I run like 24,000 in the first area, because I can get the drift to hold for so long, and the transition's very not very sudden. It's very very linear, so you can transition between the turns and get it to go all the way around. And my favourite part for any Mustang to drift is the bank, because the car just holds the bank like crazy. If you don't tap the wall like that, I just tapped the wall and it sort of screwed up my drift a little bit, even though it didn't take the points off me, which is interesting. I think there's a few, I swear there's certain tracks, there's certain tap zones you can use, and you brush the wall and you won't lose all your points. So yeah, there's a little quick lap of Indianapolis. I'm probably going to put that paint job on, so yeah. There's a little quick lap of Indianapolis with the Mustang. It's obviously the wrong colour and the wrong rim colour right now, but in a few seconds it shall have the right vinyl setup. So obviously there's a tune menu, but yeah, we're going to put the vinyl on this Mustang. Here's before, and where is the design? I do have the design now to put on. It's made by BXRDY, as I just tend to use. You can see there, his Lambo has the same design pretty much by BXRDY. But we're going to stick the Mustang paint job on and load that. Alright now. There we go. It's loaded. It's still saving, but cool. Come on, load. So yeah. Loaded the vinyl design. I'll show you what the Mustang looks like now in its glory colours. I'll probably link the video to Battle Drift as well, because basically they use this car and the Lambo. So yeah, this car will be in like the real video, but in action will be in the description, like the Lambo video. But yeah, the tune build will be named, I think it's named RTR Drift Build V2 or something, but I'm not exactly sure. Don't 100% on me in that, but you can always look up my gamer tag if you want to find my file share and find this drift build for this Mustang GT. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Ice Cracks out.